Good morning. I'm Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Richard Chavarria, U.S. Army, retired. I will be your master of ceremonies. Please silence your cell phones. Welcome to the 72nd Annual Memorial Day ceremony here at Harbor Lawn. As I begin, I'd like to recognize some council members from Costa Mesa. Mr. Mike Boley, Jeff Pettis, and Elise Reynolds. Just a note about the two flyovers we will be having today. I wanted to tell you that now, so no speeches or songs will be interrupted. The Commemorative Air Force honors our deceased veterans with a flyover in a World War II DC-53 transport. The D-Day Doll is flown by Greg O'Meara and Ben Clerks, and the crew chief is Andy Conley. D-Day Doll actually participated in the Normandy D-Day invasion, Operation Market Garden in Holland, and resupply missions for the surrounded soldiers at Bastogne and the crossing of the Rhine. The Missing Man formation, which we will see later, is flown by the Dawn Patrol to honor those lost in battle. The wing commander is Dan Hammond. Thank you for being with us today. Memorial Day was originally known as Decoration Day, which started in 1868 after the Civil War ended. This consisted of placing flags on the graves of those in national cemeteries. It spread around the country to all those who served and died in war. In 1971, Congress approved the last Monday of the month to give honor in May and standardize the name to Memorial Day. Memorial Day is an occasion for both grief and celebration, reflecting on the tragic loss of life and recounting the courageousness of military service. For those who have served, this day holds the utmost significance while giving our country the opportunity to pay tribute to the freedoms we enjoy and to remember the lives that have been lost in defense of our nation. This respect and admiration for the fallen is something we all can participate in. There are many ways we can honor their sacrifices. Today should not only be an occasion we remember them, by sharing their stories, we give others a glimpse of the importance of military service and hope that they can carry on that legacy with them to create a better world and a stronger nation. Honor, courage, commitment, these are just a few of the American values our fallen heroes lived by and died for. As a nation, we must remind ourselves of these values and do our best to live up to them ourselves. Let us carry forward the legacy of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for freedom and commit ourselves to building a nation of strong, resilient communities that do not forget their past. At this time, the Scouts of Troops 339 and 711 will now light the eternal flame. At this time, the members of the Freedom Committee of Orange County will present the flags of our armed forces. The U.S. Army flag is carried by Major Jim Lockard, U.S. Army, retired. Jim served 2 tours in Vietnam and was assigned to Special Forces. His decorations and awards include Bronze Star Medal with V device and 2 Oak Leaf clusters, Meritorious Service Medal with Oak Leaf cluster, Air Medal, and many other awards, including the Special Forces tab, Combat Infantry badge, the Master Parachutist badge, and the Scuba badge. The U.S. Marine Corps flag is carried by Bill Ring, USMC. Bill was a helicopter pilot who served in Vietnam, flying over 500 combat missions. His awards and decorations include the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Purple Heart, and the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with Palm. The U.S. Navy flag is carried by Lieutenant Commander Dr. Ben Swatchman, an anesthesiologist in the 1st Marine Division in Vietnam. He helped save lives in many areas in I Corps, including Chu Lai, Da Nang, Phu Pai, Quang Tri, and Dong Ha. His decorations and awards include the National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, and the Vietnam Campaign Medal. The U.S. Air Force flag is carried by Colonel David Fay, U.S. Air Force and Air Force Reserve, retired. A command pilot, Colonel Fay served for 31 years with 2 tours in Vietnam, where he flew C-41 transport aircraft as well as CH-53 Jolly Green Giant helicopters. His CH-53 missions were all rescue missions with 25 pickups in enemy-held territory while working for the top-secret organization, MACVSOG. His awards and decorations include the Distinguished Flying Cross with 4-leaf clovers, Meritorious Service Medal with oak leaf clover, Air Force Commendation Medal, and many other awards. The U.S. space flag is carried by Jack Ray. Jack served in the Army's 82nd Airborne Division. He made 129 jumps. His awards include the Army Commendation Medal. The U.S. Coast Guard flag is carried by U.S. Navy Petty Officer First Class Bruce Bowman. He served as a fire control technician during Vietnam and served aboard the guided missile cruiser Chicago CG-11. His decorations and awards include Good Conduct, Meritorious Unit Citation, Combat Action Ribbon. The Prisoner of War Missing in Action flag is carried by Chief Warrant Officer 2 Jim Grimm, U.S. Army. Jim was an Army combat helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He flew UH-1 Huey gunships and slicks for troop insertion, extraction, and medevac missions. His awards and decorations include Air Medal with 28 oak leaf clusters, the Army Commendation Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, and many others. The Pearl Harbor flag is carried by Quartermaster 3rd Class Lucky Waltz, U.S. Navy. Lucky served on destroyers in the South Pacific, Western Pacific, Southeast Asia, and the Aleutian Islands. He participated in Operation Picture Window, West Pacific, and Task Force 8 nuclear testing at Johnson Island. His awards and decorations include the Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Sea Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, and the Southwest Asia Service Medal. In honor of this Memorial Day ceremony, the American flag will be lowered to half staff. The flags are being lowered by Colonel Fay and Corporal Dwight F. Hansen, United States Marine Corps.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red bursting through the air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet
remain standing for the United States Pledge of Allegiance. Join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And one more time here, I would ask you to bow with me for a word of prayer. Our God in heaven, we are here today to remember and honor the lives of men and women who have died for us and our country. This ceremony, for a day called Memorial Day, is one way we can join with neighbors and friends to acknowledge the magnitude of a person laying his or her life down for the sake of others. We make up an audience of citizens that have lost loved ones, friends, comrades, and neighbors. We want to commemorate their memory and show our gratitude for their service. Many of us have suffered the absence of laughter, of smiles, and words of affirmation. We ask for your presence during this time of grief and pride. Yes, Lord, pride. We have pride in the willingness of these departed service members to give of themselves for our sakes. As we listen, observe, and participate in the actions, music, and stories that honor, let us reflect and meditate on the significance of what we do today. We desire that our hearts would be ennobled so that we would be people who will behave in ways that are better, more giving, more encouraging, and more honoring. Lord, may their memory move us to make a positive difference in our homes, neighborhoods, and communities. Thank you for this time of healing, reflection, and gratitude. In your name we pray, amen. Please be seated.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Well, I get the opportunity and the honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker today. And I would tell you that a lot of times you have people who are not wanting to have too much said about them. But I told our speaker today that I really had to read his commendation and a little bit of his bio here for the sake of all of us. Because we are here today because of actions he took that really made a difference for other service members who were in the midst of the battle. So, Gary Lee Luttrell is a retired U.S. Army Command Sergeant Major and Medal of Honor recipient, recognized for extraordinary valor during the Vietnam War. In April 1970, while serving as an advisor to the 23rd South Vietnamese Ranger Battalion at Dak Siong. He held his unit together during a brutal 4-day, 4-night siege by nearly 5,000 enemy troops. With all other U.S. advisors killed or wounded, Luttrell repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire, enduring multiple life-threatening actions over those days and nights to direct air and artillery support, pass out ammunition, care for the wounded, and motivate Rangers, often speaking to them in their own language. Relief never arrived. The fighting on the hill finally ended when the North Vietnamese stopped attacking. They had taken such heavy losses and fought for so long that they no longer had the strength or will to continue. The enemy forces that had once been attacking the base camp were the same forces that later attacked Gary and his troops on the hill. Gary, along with 41 walking wounded soldiers, then left the hill and headed back to the original base camp he had been sent to evacuate and assist with the wounded. On his way back, they were continually ambushed. For his actions, he was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Richard Nixon in 1973. After retiring from the Army in 1983, Luttrell continued serving his country by mentoring youth and speaking to more than 200,000 students nationwide about the 6 core values of the Medal of Honor: courage, commitment, sacrifice, integrity, citizenship, and patriotism. Gary has had 2 true loves in his life. Gary was married to the late Susie Luttrell for 59 years. Gary was blessed to find love again and married Susie Luttrell. Together, they founded the Integrity Path, which can be found at theintegritypath.org. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Command Sergeant Major Gary Luttrell.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As we approach the 250th anniversary of America, it gives us a chance to reflect on what this country has overcome and what has carried us forward through every generation. We faced wars, hardships, loss, uncertainties, yet we still found the way to build, serve, sacrifice, and move this great country forward. As we talk about service, we must first think about our veterans and active duty men and women serving in our country today. I have worn that uniform, and I know that service is not a job, it's a dedication. Like my good friend Bill Dillon, a World War II veteran who will turn 102 in October, remains a true patriot and an inspiration to everyone who's had the privilege to know him. Bill still speaks with strength, courage, and conviction. His life reminds us that while the body may grow old, the spirit of service members will never fade. The commitment, resolve, and love for country that carried him through his service remains as strong as forever. To me, that is patriotism, commitment, and courage in action. Every one of us has obstacles to overcome. The question is not whether obstacles will come. The question is whether we will face them with character and purpose. Each of us has the ability to make a difference. Not someday, but right now, through our choices, our attitude, and the way that we treat others. This Memorial Day weekend especially reminds us of the sacrifice, service, courage of those who came before us. Since the founding of this nation, millions of Americans have served, and more than 1 million American service members have given their life in defense of this great country. From the fields of the Revolutionary War, the battles of the Civil War, the trenches of World War I, the beaches of Normandy, the mountains in Korea, the jungles in Vietnam, and the long years of the war on terror. Each one was more than a number. They were sons, daughters, husbands, wives, friends, neighbors, and fellow Americans whose sacrifice become part of the foundation that carries this nation forward and help preserve the freedoms each of us enjoy every day. I am part of the generation that come before many of you, just like my father was part of the generation that come before me. He served in World War II. I served in Vietnam. My two sons served during the global war on terror. Different times, different challenges, but the same belief that each have a responsibility to serve something greater than themselves. Those who come before us face numerous obstacles. Yet the determination, sacrifice, and resolve, they found the strength to overcome and help carry this country forward. Please observe the missing man formation flying overhead. What a beautiful sight. Please let me continue. The Medal of Honor core values: courage, commitment, sacrifice, integrity, citizenship, and patriotism are not just military values, they're life values. They are values that help build strong people, strong families, strong communities, and strong leaders. Courage. Courage is standing up when things are difficult, doing the right thing under adverse condition. Commitment. Commitment is continuing forward when life gets hard. If you're working with a team, you have to be committed to that team. You have to pull your fair share of the teamwork to be committed. Sacrifice is putting others before yourself. Move out of your comfort zone. Give to those less fortunate than you. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when you think no one is looking. Citizenship is helping others and caring for your community. Patriotism is participating in this country and enjoying and helping make it better. And this Memorial Day, Americans stand strong because generation after generation step forward to serve something greater than themselves and to give their lives in service to this country and to the freedoms we enjoy today. Together we will share the responsibility of carrying these values forward. As we celebrate 250-year anniversary, let us remember the future of this country will not only be shaped by technology, policy, and success. It will be shaped by values, by people willing to lead with courage, commitment, sacrifice, citizenship, and patriotism. Thank you very much.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land or sea. To fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States glories. Anchors aweigh until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in Thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, I shall our purpose be. Semper is our guide, our pledge, our motto, too so true. We're always ready to or die. I Coast Guard, we fight for you. First you fight for the right, and the nation's fight, and the army goes rolling along. And the army goes rolling along. For it's high, high day, the army's on its way. Held out your veins loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, riding high in the sun. Here comes the young our thunder, and boys kicking their guns. Hear the gun, down we dive, swing away from under. Off the one terrible roar, we live in fame, we're down in flame, oh, nothing to stop the U.S. Air Force. One guard at every station, protectors of our nation, the great armed forces of America, America today.
At this time, the members of the Freedom Committee will present wreaths in honor of those who died in service of our country. These wreaths are presented in recognition of the veterans of the United States forces who gave their lives in service of our country. The Gold Star Family Wreath is carried by Mrs. Maria Simpson to honor two members of her family who died in combat and on behalf of the families who lost loved ones serving our country. Maria and Jim Simpson's son, Abraham, lost his life in Fallujah, Iraq on November 9, 2004. And in a terrible twist of fate, Jonathan, Abraham's cousin, who initially wanted infantry duty, transferred from aviation to infantry. He retrained to serve as a recon Marine. Jonathan lost his life in Iraq in 2006. Maria is escorted by Corporal Dwight Hansen.
Before Maria speaks, the last conversation she had with her son in the garage before he was deployed said, if it happens to anyone, it would be better if it happens to me, because I know where I'm going with my faith in Jesus Christ. I want to be infantry to give hope for someone who needs it, or take a bullet for someone who needs more time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Marie Simpson.
Thank you. I just want to make a couple of comments. 22 years ago, I held an open house from noon to midnight on the Sunday before Memorial Day, inviting Abe's friends and family to stop by and see him before he deployed to Iraq in mid-June. I was hoping that I would not be observing Memorial Day differently the following year, but that is what happened. I want to add a couple of additional souls to my comments this morning, as Memorial Day honors all those who left their blood on distant battlefields to preserve what we have in this country. Stephen Rintamaki gave his life in Iraq in 2004. Corporal Rintamaki was serving his 4th year as a Marine when he died in Iraq as part of Weapons Company, 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, including 1 year in the delayed entry program when he finished high school. Stephen had a great sense of humor and he loved challenges. If things were too calm or quiet, he would create a little chaos to see how the others would react. His advantage was that he could remain calm and in control when chaos surrounded him, and this was beneficial in battle. Stephen has a perpetual Marine scholarship in his name, providing scholarships for children of Marines. Corporal Max Donahue gave his life in Afghanistan in 2010. Max was a friendly guy that could get along with anyone. He was the newest guy to the squad, as he was there as a replacement, but he made everyone feel like he was one of the guys. Corporal Dale Berger gave his life in Iraq in 2004. He was a kind soul, and when he was deployed to Kuwait, before that deployment for training, the battalion stopped in East Timor to provide repairs at a school. While providing security, a bunch of little boys gathered, curious to know who those Marines were. Dale, being such a kind soul, collected chocolate bars and government-issued sunglasses and handed them out to the little boys. They were so excited and happy, and Dale was kind like that. He also used to help his mom deliver Meals on Wheels to the elderly and disabled. Corporal Larry Donnell Harris gave his life in Afghanistan in 2010. He was strict but fair. If you needed correcting, he'd make sure you wouldn't forget the lesson. But if you were squared away, he'd treat you with fairness and respect. He loved drill. If they were in the field and messing up, he'd have the platoon marching the perimeter of the entire area. He had a great voice for calling out, too. Corporal Jeffrey Johnson and Sergeant Kenny May gave their lives in Afghanistan in 2010. They were known to their Marines as good guys, always looking out for the younger Marines. And they were good mentors, and they led by example. When they were out on patrol, they patrolled on foot because there were so many IEDs, and the younger Marines would take their turns looking for mines, or looking for IEDs, and the corporals and sergeants didn't need to do that because they were their leaders, but they took their turn doing it, just like the younger Marines, and that's when they ended up giving their lives. Jonathan, my nephew, he was born and raised in Canada, but he went down to Texas for 2 years before he enlisted in the Marines. So he had a very interesting Canadian Southern drawl. He was very cute, had a cute personality, and when he was writing home to the family, he would always end his emails with hugs and kisses for all the ladies, which was, the ladies were his grandmother, his aunt, his mom. But I just thought that was pretty cute. When my son Abe, who gave his life in Iraq in 2004, he used to come home on the weekends from Camp Pendleton. He'd drop off a couple of buddies at our house, and we wouldn't see him for the rest of the weekend. He'd go hang out with his friends from church, from the youth group. There's a lot of drinking and other shenanigans that take place when Marines are on liberty, but my son was involved in some pretty serious toilet paper wars between his friends and even his high school youth pastor. And they not only relied on toilet paper, but they expanded to wrapping each other's cars in saran wrap and aluminum foil. On the night when I drove him to Camp Pendleton so he could leave on deployment, he had to make one last stop to Jackie's house, who lived around the corner from us, and he placed flowers from our garden on her car. When he was done, I drove around, picked him up, and we went to the base. But I thought it was a beautiful goodbye. I share all that to just say that for my son Abraham, if you ever meet him on the other side, I hope that you'll be able to say, "Hey Abe, I heard about you from your mom." Thanks for coming out today to observe Memorial Day. It's a day for all of us, not just the Gold Star families, but all the veterans that support the younger service members and all the families and community that come out. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Maria speaks at Camp Pendleton to the young Marines going through Marine combat training, SOI, and my son actually heard her speak 8 years ago to them, sharing the stories about Abe Simpson. So we need to always remember, and thank you so much.
The U.S. Army wreath is carried by Major Alan Harvard. He served in Vietnam at Cu Chi. He served with 30 Corps in the 32nd Air Defense Artillery. His decorations and awards include the Army Bronze Star with 2 Oakley clusters, Meritorious Service Medal, and the Vietnam Honor Medal First Class. The United States Marine Corps Reef is carried by Chief Warrant Officer 4 Scott Burgie and Tanya, a Dutch Malinois. Scott served in the Reserves and National Guard for the Marines and Army. He was a helicopter pilot and air traffic controller. The U.S. Navy Reef is carried by Senior Chief Gary Teagle. He served in the Navy, retired, spent 27 and a half years, served on 9 ships, taught leadership, and late in his career deployed to Iraq. His awards include the Navy Marine Corps Commendation Medal, Navy Achievement Medal, Iraqi Campaign Medal, and many others. He also wears the Enlisted Service Warfare Specialist Badge. The U.S. Air Force Reef is carried by Colonel David Fay, United States Air Force and Air Force Reserve, retired. A command pilot, Colonel Fay served for 31 years with 2 tours in Vietnam, where he flew C-141 transport aircraft as well as CH-53 Jolly Green Giant helicopters. His 53 missions were all rescue missions with 25 pickups in enemy-held territory while working in the top-secret organization, MAC-VSOP. His awards and decorations include the Distinguished Flying Cross, Meritorious Service Medal, Air Force Commendation Medal. The U.S. Coast Guard Reef is carried by U.S. Navy Petty Officer First Class Bruce Bowman. He served as a fire control technician during Vietnam and served aboard the guided missile cruiser Chicago. His decorations and awards include Good Conduct Medal, Meritorious Unit Citation, Combat Action Ribbon. The World War I Reef is carried by Major Jim Lockhart, U.S. Army retired. Jim served 2 tours in Vietnam and was assigned to Special Forces. His decorations and awards include Bronze Star Medal with V device and 2 Oakley clusters, Meritorious Service Medal with Oakley cluster, Air Medal, and many other awards including Special Forces tab, Combat Infantry badge, Master Parachutist badge, and Scuba badge. The World War II Reef is carried by U.S. Navy Corpsman Charles Cram. Charles just turned 100 years of age in March. His decorations and awards include the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, and the Purple Heart Medal. And Iwo Jima. The Pearl Harbor Reef is carried by Petty Officer First Class Ken Cornelison. Ken served in the Navy Submarine Service. His decorations and awards include the Silver Dolphins Pin, Submarine Patrol Badge 8 Patrols, and National Defense Ribbon. The Korean War Reef is carried by Sergeant First Class Wes Hoiser, U.S. Army, Wheeled Vehicle Specialist. Wes served in the 556th Engineer Battalion at ASCOM, South Korea. His decorations and awards include the Army Good Conduct Medal and the National Defense Service Ribbon Medal, Korean Defense Medal, and Combat Infantry Badge. The Vietnam War Reef is carried by Specialist 4th Class Jeff Upton, U.S. Army. Jeff was an electronics technician who served with both the 557th 8th Light Infantry Maintenance Company and the 128th Signal Company in Vietnam at both Phu Bai and Cam Ranh Bay. His decorations and awards include the National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, and the Vietnam Campaign Medal. The Iraq War Reef is carried by Jeff Weiss. Jeff served in the Navy. The Afghanistan War Reef is carried by Quartermaster 3rd Class Lucky Walsh, U.S. Navy. Lucky served on destroyers in the South Pacific, Western Pacific, Southeast Asia, and the Aleutian Islands. He participated in Operation Picture Window, West Pacific, and Task Force 8 nuclear testing at Johnston Island. His awards and decorations include the Good Conduct Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, Sea Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, and the Southwest Asia Service Medal. The Freedom Committee of Orange County Reef is carried by Chief Warrant Officer 4 Sven Atkinson, U.S. Army and U.S. Army Reserve, retired. He was a helicopter pilot in the 4th Infantry Division in Vietnam and served in the 2nd Corps at both Pleiku Air Force Base and An Key. His awards and decorations include the Bronze Star Medal, 18 Air Medals, Army Commendation Medal with Valor Device, National Defense Service Medal, and many other awards, including the Master Aviation Badge. The Prisoner of War and Missing in Action Reef is carried by Chief Warrant Officer 2 Jim Grimm, U.S. Army, an Army helicopter pilot in Vietnam who flew UH-1 Huey gunships and slicks for troop insertion, extraction, and medevac missions. His decorations and awards include Air Medal with 28 oak leaf clusters, Army Commendation, Vietnam Service Medal, and many others. Thank you, Freedom Committee.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain, America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for patriotry that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Trina. Please stand for the playing of taps that honors our fallen service members. And a soloist from the Bugles Across America will play for us. At this time, Colonel David Fitty and Corporal Dwight Hansen will raise the flag to full staff. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our Memorial Day ceremony. Thank you.